Hey, it's Chris over here at Noble Pay. Just wanted to share with you some more things to consider to help you with picking and choosing a merchant service provider. Today, I wanted to talk to you about how credit card processing rates come to be. In the world of credit card processing, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different credit cards that are issued by the banks. So you're probably carrying a number of them. We all carry credit cards. A lot of us have our ATM card these days that have the Visa MasterCard logo. So what most processors do in an effort just to make things a little easier to comprehend and understand is they take each category of credit cards and they bundle them into what we call a bucket, and then they blend and come up with what the average processing rate would be. So a lot of times when you see the term qualified rate, what they've done is they've blended the average of all those different credit cards, and then they've come up with what the average percentage would be, and that's what your rate is. So for example, if you're going to swipe a credit card, meaning you're going to have the credit card present, Noble Pay, our standard rate is 1.59%. The reality is there's credit card types that might cost a little bit less, they might cost a little bit more. And what we've done again is we've blended the average, we've come up with that number, and then we've presented that as what your rate would be. Now the next level would be what's called a mid-qualified tier, and that usually is, or it's not usually, it is when you're not swiping the credit card. So if you're manually typing in a credit card number, if you're typing it in, if you're an internet company, if you're doing phone orders, that would be the rate that you're paying for what we call card not present sales. In the world of credit card processing nowadays, issuing banks, meaning banks that are issuing credit cards to consumers, there's a lot of different rewards that you see out there where they have all these different incentives and perks to use the credit card. And what they're doing is they're giving cash back, they're giving, rewards, whatever it ends up being. They need to pay for that somehow. And what they're doing is they're actually passing that along to the merchant, which would be you in this case, and the cost of that transaction is higher. Most processors will put rewards-based credit cards into the mid-qualified category. So that would mean if you're an internet merchant, for example, meaning you're never going to swipe the credit card, your mid-qualified level would include rewards credit cards. And I know this gets a little bit confusing, but what a lot of processors have done is they've figured out a way, well, how can we make a little bit more money? Because we obviously know that the merchants are paying more for these rewards incentives, and they probably know that, so maybe we can add just a little bit more here and create this pseudo medium middle ground percentage. So you'll see that a lot of processors out there not only charge the mid-qualified level for your card not present sales, they're also adding a couple basis points in there to make a little bit more money for themselves, which, in my opinion, is pretty shady, and they shouldn't be doing that. So the reality here is mid-qualified sales would be if you're manually typing in a credit card number or collecting rewards-based credit cards. Another level to consider and know about would be non-qualified credit cards. And that typically is when somebody collects a business-to-business credit card. So if there's a corporate name published on the credit card, or if it's an international credit card, the cost on that card is higher. So it falls to a higher tier, which is called non-qualified. Again, what most processors, including NoblePay, will do is they'll blend the average, come up with what the average rate should be, and then present that rate. NoblePay is typically between 3.25% to 3.5%. Most processors you'll see out there usually can be as high as 4%. Another thing to think about is whenever you're running credit cards, you'll see on the back of a credit card there's something called a CVV code, which is a 3-digit security number, or your processor might ask you to enter in a zip code, and what they're doing is these are extra security parameters that are in there to help protect you and the bank from any fraudulent activity. If you fail to enter that information in, it will automatically downgrade that card to the non-qualified tier. Now, a lot of processors don't want you to know this because by design, they want it to cost more because it means it's putting more money in their pocket. So now you know the secret there. Whether you pick us or not, make sure you're entering the proper data. Otherwise, it's going to cost you more. A final thing to understand in the terms of rate is there's another pricing structure that is available if it's requested. NoblePay does this. A lot of other processors will do this. It's not usually talked about because it's kind of complex. And what it is, it's called cost plus pricing. And what that means is it's very transparent. We show you and say, okay, here's the interchange. Here's what our cost is, and we mark it up. Most processors on the very low end will probably mark it up to 25, 30 basis points. I would say the norm might be 50 basis points. And now you know that, okay, on my monthly statement, when I ran a credit card, here's cost, here's what it cost me, here's the basis point markup. So now I know what it cost me or what the processor's profitability is here. And now I know specifically what my cost is for every single transaction I did. Now, the upside to that obviously is when the cost of a transaction is lower, then you're going to save some money versus when you bundle the transactions into one lump rate. The downside is if the transaction cost is higher, then obviously you'd pay a little bit more. If you're going to do a ton of rewards cards, or you know for a fact you're going to do a lot of B2B sales, then cost plus pricing is definitely the way to go because it is going to keep your costs down. So I know I threw a lot at you. If your head's spinning at this point and you're just confused beyond all, please feel free to set up a phone consultation with me. I'm happy to spend a few minutes or more, whatever it takes, to go through all of this in detail with you so that way you're making the best possible decision. All you need to do is just click one of those links in the emails I've been sending you to request a phone consultation, and then we can talk about rate and pricing and make sure we're setting you up with something that makes perfect sense for your business. So goodbye for now, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.